Hello, my name is Allison Madigan and I am the Director of Admissions here at St. Mary's Catholic High School. Thank you for your interest in exploring the wonderful opportunities that St. Mary's has to offer. As we celebrate our centennial this year, we look back at the rich history of our school and community. Opening its doors in 1917, St. Mary's became Arizona's first Catholic high school, located downtown near the Basilica. In 1988, we moved to our current campus on 3rd Street. The traditions of St. Mary's extend past our 100 years as we are a true Catholic school, aligning ourselves with the mission of the Church to form virtuous young men and women who know the truth and love the good. Our focus on forming students in virtue leads us to strive especially for academic excellence. All truth leads us to Jesus Christ, and a greater grasp of truth leads us to better knowledge and deeper love of God. Therefore, our mission to provide an excellent liberal arts education will not only prepare our students for the college or career of their choice, but more importantly, it will form them into virtuous young men and women who have the tools and the knowledge to live a virtuous life, ultimately leading them to happiness.
The mission of St. Mary's Catholic High School is to provide a liberal arts education that forms virtuous young men and women who know the truth and love the good. An essential aspect of the mission of St. Mary's High School is virtue formation. And what that means is that we're trying to help form young men and women to be able to seek the truth and to love the good, to love what they encounter in the truth. This is important because we were made a particular way. Right? St. Augustine famously said, "Our hearts are restless until they rest in you." He wrote that as a prayer to God. And so we know that there's a deep desire in our hearts for God. Right? There's a longing in us that God placed in our hearts. It's a longing to know God and to love Him. And we cannot really be happy. We cannot be satisfied until we know the truth and then until we love the good. And so when we talk about virtue formation, what we mean is that we're preparing young men and women for happiness. We're preparing them to be able to live their lives in such a way that they're able to seek the truth, they're able to recognize the truth when they find it, and their hearts are really directed towards loving the good, loving God. Another important aspect of the mission of St. Mary's High School is to provide a liberal arts education. Liberal arts education seeks to do, well, just that, seeks to liberate young men and women. Pope Pius XI he wrote an encyclical on Christian education in 1939, in which he said that any authentic educational system has to take into account man's fallen nature. Because of original sin, we're born, in a sense, broken a little bit. Right? Our powers don't work the way they should. Our intellect is a little bit hampered. It's difficult for us to know the truth, and we're easily led astray. Our wills are weak. We often don't desire what we should, or we don't have the courage to pursue those desires. And our passions, our appetites, are sometimes a little bit too strong, sometimes misdirected. Because of our fallenness, because of our human weaknesses, because of original sin, we can actually become a little bit enslaved. We're not free to be fully who we are. It's difficult for us to live a fully human life. A liberal arts education then seeks to form young men and women for freedom. It seeks to form and to shape those powers to be directed towards what's true and what's good, thus setting us free to live a fully human life. That's why the work of Catholic education is so tied up with preparing young men and women to be able to live their lives in such a way that they can seek happiness both in this world and in the next. And that happiness consists in nothing other than knowing and loving God.
Our liberal arts curriculum exceeds the admissions requirements for the most selective universities. With 28 credits required for graduation and 30 honors, advanced placement, and dual enrollment classes, St. Mary's provides a challenging and rewarding academic program. With our advanced placement and dual enrollment classes, students have the opportunity to earn up to 24 college credits while still in high school. Our Seed of Wisdom Integrated Studies program is a unique combination of the study of history with the study of literature and composition. Combining the study of these two subjects in one class allows students to reinforce their learning in one subject area through the study of another. This seminar-style class, through teacher-guided discussions, allows students to critically evaluate the ideas expressed through Western civilization and the Catholic intellectual tradition. The Seed of Wisdom class is rooted in what Mortimer Adler calls the Great Conversation. As this conversation takes place in the context of a Catholic school dedicated to knowing and loving Jesus Christ, it is not merely an academic exercise, but rather a means of encountering wisdom itself. At St. Mary's, our administration, faculty, and staff are passionate about forming our students' hearts and minds, educating them in the Catholic tradition to know the truth and love the good.
So, all of the teachers at St. Mary's love their students. All of the teachers are formed in their faith. They all have a relationship with Christ, and they're all open to not just life in the classroom, but really experiencing life with you as a whole, getting to know you as a person, not just another name on the attendance sheet, which is something so different. I think teachers are really important because they're the people who form your minds during high school and form you to be the people who you will go out into the world being. And the teachers at St. Mary's have really formed me to want to be a virtuous individual. They've taught me what real love and real friendship is. They're living examples of adults living a happy Catholic life, and they're really witnesses to the faith because they're joyful. Joy is one of the best witnesses to the faith, and that's what I really saw. I was attracted to how happy they are being teachers at St. Mary's and available for anything, from life advice, college help. They're there to talk to you for anything, and they're really knowledgeable too. The teachers at St. Mary's are so smart and so well formed, and something that I've received from St. Mary's is a real trust of my teachers. I trust them in the knowledge they're giving me. I know they're educated and they're formed, and I know that they really want the best for me, and that I'm not just another name. I'm not just another student who wants to pass their class. They really know me. My relationship with God was pretty non-existent. It was pretty surface level. So my family's Catholic, my mom's Catholic, so I went to Mass on Sundays. We would say bedtime prayers, but I did it just because that was what you did. I didn't really know what I was doing it for. Mass was kind of boring to me. I didn't really know what the purpose of it was, other than just some concept of God and Jesus. I went to RE, religious education classes, but I thought they were boring too. So coming into St. Mary's really opened up my whole worldview and my whole concept of faith and religion. It was here that I had an authentic encounter with the Lord. It was here that I really found who I was in Christ, and where I got to know Jesus not as some far off, distant spiritual being, but as a concrete reality in my life, someone who impacts the decisions I make and impacts the way I live, and really permeates the fabric of my life.
It wasn't until I came to St. Mary's that I truly understood what it meant to be Catholic, and that it's so much more than just a prayer a day or Mass on Sundays or talking to God occasionally. It's something that permeates your entire life, and St. Mary's has really taught me how to live as a Catholic in today's world. Even though often you're going against the crowd or against what the rest of society says, you're living very counterculturally, but in the same way you're living a very beautiful life of leisure and happiness and union with God. And really, it's through the classes and the retreats and the people that St. Mary's has formed me and formed my faith, and really made me want to claim my faith as my own as a young Catholic in today's world, and take the opportunities to grow in it. And really, just St. Mary's has made my Catholic faith part of my entire life.
If St. Mary's provides the Catholic education that you desire for your child, we encourage you to become familiar with our admissions process. The following is what is needed for a completed admissions packet for an incoming freshman: an official St. Mary's application, which includes the handwritten student essay, recommendation forms from math, science, and language arts teachers, recommendation form from the principal or administrator from current grade school, 7th and 8th grade report cards, 7th and 8th grade standardized test scores, and the high school placement test results. Any 8th grade student wishing to apply to a Catholic high school is required to take the high school placement test. We invite you to take the high school placement test at St. Mary's on either January 20th or January 27th. At this time, we will also be offering a financial aid seminar to educate parents about the different ways to apply for tuition assistance. We will also be offering 2 HSPT prep classes on December 2nd and December 9th. These classes will cover math and language arts and help prepare 8th graders in the style of the high school placement test. Registration for both HSPT prep classes and the high school placement test itself are open and available on our website. Completed application packets are due to St. Mary's by Wednesday, January 31st. Our admissions committee will review all completed application packets and will mail admissions letters on February 17th. Included in the acceptance packet will be registration paperwork that will need to be completed and turned in at one of our 2 freshman registration dates, March 7th or March 10th. For more information on our admissions requirements, our admissions process, or for a calendar of upcoming events, please visit our website at www.smnights.org. Please feel free to contact me with any questions or to register for any of our events. Thank you and have a blessed day.